What's up, everyone? Welcome back, and welcome to my Marauder JOES builds part 2. I created another whole wave of figures to share with you folks, so let's turn the camera around and jump right into it. Okay, looking at the bench, before we get started, again, I gave myself some limitations as to what I'm going to be doing. If you've watched my previous video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I set some parameters for myself regarding how I build these figures. I want people to jump on the Marauders website and be able to drop some of these parts in the cart and basically just smash these things together for themselves. So the very first figure we are going to look at is the 1988 Ghost Rider. And if you're not familiar with this figure, he's actually a vehicle driver. He drives the Phantom X19. Now, the Collectors Club did create a figure for him in the Wave 6 release of the figures. And it's a really interesting figure. The one funny thing about this guy, if you ever read the comics, he never made any cartoon appearances, but in the comics, all his teammates used to forget his name, and they always carried that pun throughout all the comics that in his appearances. So my build right here is using all 100% Marauder Task Force parts. And one thing I did add is on the original here, you had some soft cloth goods right here for a scarf. Kind of like a old bomber pilot look to him with a scarf. So of course this is one of his trademarks, so I went ahead and added the soft goods on him as well. Let me slide him aside here. Now looking at my figure, this is the silver pilot, silver helmet with the yellow goggles, the drop-down flight goggles. He's got the newly released black vest that Marauders just released. This is just the black Night Ops body with the non-armored sleeves, the drop-down leg holsters, and for his pistol, I gave him the Enforcer automatic pistol. Again, if anybody's ever bought stuff off Marauders, I'm sure you're familiar with the site. If you're watching this video, they started out making weaponry, and of course their weaponry is unmatched for the 1/18 scale. I've also purchased some of the 1/12 scale weapons that they have, and again, they put the same love and care into those weapons as well. So again, a really simple build, something you can just jump on the website. They do have all these parts right now. Oh, one other thing, for his lower half, I ended up buying one of those World War II German early war figures. And these are the lower legs of that character, because on the original, as you can see, he had some tall black boots. And basically you just, I popped the top off of that one and popped the top of the Night Ops body on top of this, and that gave me that nice look of the original. So that's the first figure. This is the 1988 Phantom X Pilot Ghost Rider. We'll slide him back. All right, for the next figure I want to look at is this gentleman right here. If anybody's collected G.I. Joes in the 1988, they'll know who he is. This is the heavy gunner of that year, Repeater. A really fantastic figure of the time. He came with this steady cam gun, which actually hooks onto his belt. A really decent looking backpack. The blocky camo with the flak vest. Nice military helmet right there. This gun is articulated. Now, the Collectors Club also did release their version of Repeater. He came out in the third wave. Just like in the previous video, I checked eBay and some of the aftermarkets for the prices of these FSS figures that are released. And again, they're just absolutely expensive. And so keep in mind, some of my figures, the reason why I made these is for folks that missed out on those figures. And these are some really affordable alternatives for themselves. So this is my version of the Repeater figure. Again, he comes with the brand new, slide him back so I don't knock him over, the brand new Desert Camo body. Really love their camouflage painted figures. He has a 86 vest on with some pouches on the front. He's also carrying the Marauders Steadicam gun. Belt fed right back to the back right there. Now, he has one of those World War II 5-point military U.S. hats right there. I did end up giving him the rolled up black short sleeve arms, and that's just to mimic, of course, the original who had rolled up sleeves as well. Really simple build. Has a nice backpack. I didn't end up filling all the ports in the backpack yet. Again, if you're familiar with Marauders, you know that you can buy all sorts of pouches and things of that nature to fill in all these ports and pouches, portholes everywhere. So for the price of a repeater figure, I mean, I will admit I do have the FSS figure. I was a subscriber back in the day. It is a really nice figure, nice and large. They use the roadblock, the newer roadblock body. But again, it's upwards of $100+. So for a less expensive way to build that figure, I think the Marauders is obviously the way to go. So this is my 1988 repeater figure. All right, we are going to, well, looks like I just had a hiccup. Hopefully that cleared up. All right, let's see. Of course, my first live stream, there's no hitches or no hiccups, and I guarantee you something's going to happen on this one. So, all right, so that's the repeater figure from 1988. For my next figure, I went with the 1991 British soldier, Big Ben. Now, I really like this figure. As we started getting into the 90s of the vintage Joe figures, they started really getting fluorescent and far-fetched. But this is one of those figures that actually jumped out and really looks military to me. And he's always been one of my favorites of that line. Again, if you're G.I. Joe is very diverse with all the different nations, and this is one of their British soldiers. As you can see on the original, he has a crisscross bandolier going here. He's carrying this pouch, and inside the pouch there's some grenades. This really large backpack. And on the backpack there's some grenades. It does make him top heavy. Hey ODC, how are you, buddy? Welcome to my live stream. It's a little funny seeing me being on this side of the camera and you being in the chat. Now, Big Ben came with this really large gun, almost an M60. Yeah, I think this falls in the M60 class. He had a working bipod, and again, this really fantastic figure came with a really nice looking gun. So what I wanted to do is create my version. Now the Collectors Club did release their version. He actually came out in I believe the Series 3 of the FSS series. Again, another figure on the aftermarket that is unfortunately incredibly expensive. I spoke about this in my previous video that unfortunately the folks out there are really taking advantage of us Joe collectors and just price gouging the heck out of not only the vintage but the Collectors Club figures as well. So, all right, so my version made with 100% Marauder Task Force parts. Now I will admit I did a little bit of very minor painting on this figure. Again, as I stated at the beginning of the video, I try to keep these things relatively simple so anybody can jump on the website and basically build these figures. In order for me to get the green effect and the camo on the face, I did have to do some really, and I mean very basic painting. I did paint the front of the Russian hat right there, and just very simple camouflage on his face. Now for my version, I ended up using the top half is actually the early war German figure, and it worked out perfectly because, as I stated earlier, oh, thanks, ODC, I appreciate that. If you buy this particular figure, you can use the lower half for him and the upper half for him, so you get a 2-for-1, and it just happened to work out that way. And rather than just have a half of a body sitting in my bin, it just worked out perfectly. Now on my version of Big Ben, like I said, he's got the World War II German early war upper body. I ended up using, I crisscrossed the ammo belts on him. He's also carrying a pouch, and inside that pouch is some of the grenades, just like on the original. Now if I flip him around to the back, you can see how I did this. Basically, I crisscrossed the bandoliers, and I did end up gluing them back there, because otherwise they just kept popping off. And also the backpack is assisting with keeping them in place. Now on the actual face himself, let me see if I can get him in close. You can see I just did some really minor camouflage to mimic the original. And on the original, he actually had a black microphone earpiece. So I ended up drilling a small hole on the side of this Russian helmet, and I purposely put the silver microphone here just to so it looked more pronounced and it didn't blend in with the black camouflage. And I'll show you that right here on this gentleman. If you're not familiar with him, he actually has that black earpiece right there. And if you don't look closely, it actually looks like part of the camouflage of his face. Now for his gun, I wanted to mimic the original as close as I could. So I ended up giving him the Marauders Task Force M60 E3. And again, a really fantastic gun. One of the early release guns from Marauders Task Force. Nice, fantastic detail on this thing. It does have this removable ammo box on the side. I opted just to leave that on there. And again, really, really simple build and very, very minor painting. I just ended up using a military green for the front of the hat right there. Otherwise, it's going to be this color right here. And a very fine brush to do the camo on his face. And if you don't have a brush, you can actually use a fine tip Sharpie if you want, if you're not skilled with a paintbrush. Again, this figure on the aftermarket is upwards of $100+. So I just thought this was a really nice, inexpensive alternative for the folks to build and add to their collection. All right, we're going to take him and we're going to try to slide him back. Put his cohort next to him right here. ODC, quick mic check. You can hear me over there, correct? If you can, just give me a quick thumbs up, buddy. I'd appreciate it. All right, for my next figure, let's see. I ended up going with this gentleman right here. Now, this is the 1988 Hardball figure. This figure was very sports-based, as you can tell. He's a baseball player, and hence his name Hardball. He came with this really massive grenade launcher. This thing is as big as his, his lower body. Again, G.I. Joe took realistic weapons and made them, a little bit of fantasy on the recipe, and thank you, Odyssey. I appreciate that. Really fantastic figure, really large gun. And on his backpack, he's, loaded for bear with all the grenades to put in that large gun. Now, Hardball here did not get an updated version of his figure into the actual final 12 from the FSS G.I. Joe Collectors Club. And the only way you could acquire him is to buy that, I think it was called They couldn't use Sergeant Slaughter's name, but the Marauder set, and that was a set of numerous figures, and the only way you could get the updated version of him is you had to buy that entire set. Now, of course, if you shop on the aftermarket, you may be able to find him individually. I did a quick search, and again, on eBay and a couple other sites that I visit, I had not seen him out there. So what I ended up doing is I did my updated version of the Hardball figure. Now, I didn't hold true to the original, and I did that on purpose. If you're any type of G.I. Joe collector, you know that as they started releasing the modern figures, the 25th anniversary, the movie figures, one of my favorite lines is the Pursuit of Cobra line, and I think a lot of G.I. Joe collectors out there will agree to that. So what I wanted to do is take this baseball look and bring him up to that Pursuit of Cobra look for my figure. He does have a white shirt underneath. I did give him the long sleeve gray sleeves right here with the black gloves. Now I did end up going with the ballistic vest with some pouches. Again, if you look at him on the shelf, it's a modern interpretation of this figure. For his weapons, I ended up giving him this smaller pistol right here. And this is a Delta automatic pistol. Not sure if that's coming out on camera or not. Really nice looking gun. One of the earlier release guns from Marauder Task Force. And unfortunately, I checked the website and they're out of stock of this weapon right here. I did happen to have this because I've been buying Marauder stuff since the beginning. Now this is the Marauders version of their grenade launcher or multi-grenade launcher. This obviously looks a lot more realistic than the fantastical one for the original figure. As I spin the figure around, there's nothing going on back here. Again, you can fill all these ports with a backpack or pouches. I just left them relatively simple. I wanted to keep him nice and clean. I did put his baseball cap on backwards, as you can see. And then I also, wanted to tip his holster on the side just to give it a very unique look. Now on his legs right here, these are not grenades. These are actually, hey Indy, how are you, buddy? Welcome to the live stream. Now, they don't offer grenades on their website, which you can mount onto the actual figure, but I thought these looked close enough to grenades to, load up his multi-grenade launcher. Thanks, ODC. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the support. So again, this is not a perfect representation of the 1988 Hardball, but just more of a modern look. Again, trying to bring G.I. Joe into the future. I've been pretty successful thus far. I do have another whole wave of figures I'd like to shoot a video on. Some of them I try to mimic the originals, but some of these figures, these more obscure figures, I wanted to bring, a little bit closer to the future and more closer to the Pursuit of Cobra line. So this is my 1988 Hardball figure. Again, all these parts, with the exception of the grenade launcher, is available on the website right now. All right, we're going to slide him back. I have a few more figures to show you guys. I don't think it's going to be that big of a long live stream tonight. All right, for my next figure, all right, I know I got two G.I. Joe collectors in the chat there, and I'm going to ask one of you guys if you know who this gentleman is. I know that there's a brief pause in the chat, or 30-second pause. Any of you guys know who this guy is? ODC, I know you know who this guy is, because I know you want that vehicle. He's actually he's from 1987, and he is a vehicle driver. Very bare-chested. In my mythos, the only bare-chested gentleman out there should be Gung-Ho, but he wanted to mimic Gung-Ho, I guess, and throw his his 6-pack or his 8-pack, whatever you want to call that out there. All right. This gentleman's name is Steamroller, and he actually drives the Mobile Command Center, which is that really unique, large, tackle box style vehicle. I do own the vehicle. It is I don't mean to make fun of it. It is a really fantastic vehicle playset, and it truly is a rolling command center. Now, Steamroller here, unfortunately, never had a modern figure made of him. So what I did is oh, you got it. Oh, that's great, ODC. I didn't know that you I didn't know you acquired it, buddy. That's awesome. I know you're on the hunt a year or so ago for it, so I'm glad you actually scooped it up. All right, now, like I said, Steamroller here, never had a modern version of any form, and so what I did is I basically created my own. Let's see, ODC. I found it complete a few years ago at an estate sale. Ah, man, that's awesome. Hopefully you got it for a good price at an estate sale. I just finally completed mine. I was missing some of the little pieces, that a few missiles and some of the attachments for the missiles up top, and I did finally just complete it. I end up having I found one at a garage sale, so I actually have 1 3/4 of one right now, and obviously I'm going to sell the one that I don't need the parts for. So if you need any parts, $75, that's a really good deal. Listen, if you need any parts, hit me up in Messenger or whatever. I actually have another one that's I'm going to just part out, so I'll hook you up, buddy. No problem at all. Now on Steamroller here, I did bend the rules a little bit. I did use just a very little bit of paint on the cap up here. I guess I could have used a water slide decal, because on the original here it does say the word dog. Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Reach out and I'll if I can help you out, I definitely will. I could have used a water slide decal on him, and I still may, but I just wanted to give that yellow effect on the top of his cap. Now, as I was saying, this gentleman here, has the guns out and his chest is bearing, and not my version. I wanted the man to put a shirt on. So what I end up using is the tan Marauders Task Force upper body with the short sleeves, and the tan, or excuse me, those are actually the light tan gloves right there. Now on his chest, you'll notice that there is, 6 grenades, and I tried to mimic the original. Now this particular vest did not have these center holes for those additional center grenades. So what I ended up doing was, I drill those holes out, and I put the attachment on there and just try to mimic the original. The only other part that's not Marauders on this figure is the dog tags. I ended up taking them from the 25th anniversary Major Blood figure. And again, on this gentleman, he has some dog tags around his neck, so I did want to carry that. Now, on this gentleman, he does have a tattoo on his left bicep. Of course, I didn't have to, but I did want to carry the red over. I ended up just putting a red pouch on his bicep here. Not sure why he's leaned back so far. Wanted to carry some of that red just to give him a splash of color. Now for his pistol, I ended up giving him, on the original here, you can see it's a revolver type pistol that is unfortunately not removable. I ended up giving this gentleman the newly released World War II Wembley revolver. And again, you can see his finger is on the trigger. It's a really nice looking revolver. It's got the gunmetal. The grip is colored too. One of my favorite revolvers that Marauders has released. On the original, he's got the holster facing to his right hand, so he must be a right-handed gentleman. I opted to go with, facing the left side. So my Steamroller is actually a left-handed gentleman. And I think I stated this in my previous video. When I started shooting YouTube, it gave me a chance to try, as I'm shooting vehicles, I try modern figures in those vehicles, and I'll repeat it in this video. All my 4-inch newly, larger figures will fit in the vintage vehicles. This particular vehicle has some really large front seats, and I did try him in there. So if you're looking to add your modern figures into your vintage vehicles, he will fit. Same thing goes with the Ghost Rider gentleman in the background. You got to bend his knees a little bit, but he will fit into the Phantom X19. And he actually looks really good in this too. So, all right. So this is my 1987 Steamroller figure. All right, let's see if I can't get him back here. Yeah, we're gonna end up blocking some folks here, guys. I apologize. All right, for my next figure, I ended up going with the 1990 Subzero. And I didn't really pick up on it, but on my previous video, I ended up doing a handful of Arctic figures, and I'm not sure why I didn't add them to that and just keep that theme going. This figure is all right. I mean, for the time period, it was a decent figure. Again, I really like the Snow Joe figures. Living in New England, of course, we're no stranger to snow out here, and I did end up playing a lot of my figures was out in the snow. So Snow Job was one of my Arctic troopers. Now, he actually came with quite a bit of accessories. Subzero came with this mobile rocket launcher, grenade launcher, or mortar launcher. He also came with a set of gray snowshoes. And he also came with 3 mortars for the mortar launcher. I ended up keeping them in the baggie because I kept dropping them. Now for his gun, he came with this really oversized gray gun. Really fantastic detail for the time. Again, not really sure. It looks like a version of the Saw. Again, G.I. Joe did, take realistic guns and add their own twist to them. The bipod is stationary. I mean, you can pop it up, but it doesn't fold up. But a really nice looking gun for the time period. So what I wanted to do was create my own version of Subzero. Now the Collectors Club did release their version. I believe he came out in wave 6. Again, I tried to price out these figures before I shot the video. ODC, dude is sold out everywhere. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking to a indie over there. So the Collectors Club did release their version of Subzero. Like I said, he came out in I believe the wave 6. Again, he's going for upwards of $100+ on the aftermarket. I do have that FSS figure. He's a really nice figure. Not going to lie, he's got a nice look to him. But in case you missed out, here's an alternative for you. I ended up building my own Subzero right here. And I did cheat a little bit on this figure. I just used some G.I. Joe parts in the back, which we'll get to. Now, again, it's as close as I could get to the original Subzero. Bring him in right here. What I ended up doing is I took one of those hoods that you could use to make your own ninja figures, and I ended up cutting the mouth guard off. He does have the gray ski cap underneath there, so I ended up having to heat the hood up, stretch it out a little bit to get over, all that the hat, the ski hat and his head as well. If you notice on the original, and I knew that was going to happen, which is fine. On the original, he's got some gray. Now I could have painted some light blue around to give it that faux fur look. ODC, love this dude. I did one too a while back. Nice, man. Oh, thank you, ODC, man. Coming from you, I appreciate your compliments. I've been following you for years and years and years, and I love your Marauders builds. Yeah. I'm going to pause for a second and just tell the viewers out there, if you're watching this on playback, absolutely go to odc.me. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel. He does everything from DC to Marvel to JOES to, I mean, you name it, he covers the gambit. He's been doing a lot of live streams lately. And I will say this, ODC, and I know you'll probably chuckle. The man is a wrestling encyclopedia. I dare you to stump him. The gentleman, he knows wrestling backwards, forwards, inside, and out. So please go, if you're not subbed to ODC, go check out his channel. All right, back to Subzero here. Now that his snowshoe fell off, like I said, the original did come with some gray snowshoes right here. And I cheated. Marauders does not offer snowshoes as of yet. So I took this off the 25th anniversary Snow Serpent figure. And just like one of the gentlemen I did in my previous video, I'm going to take his backpack off to show you. I thought this was kind of neat. So what I did was just use the foot peg right there. And as you can see, it did fall off. It is a little loose, but it does work. I mean, if you don't fiddle around with it, and you can just port them on the backpack and take them with you. Again, I probably said this before, but I'm not a big fan of sticky tack. You could use sticky tack if you want, but this works for me. And now he has oh, hey Brent, how are you? Welcome to the live stream. So this is just a nice alternative. So if you have a 25th anniversary Snow Serpent, go ahead and steal his snowshoes and give it to your Subzero. ODC, even Brent told me I was an encyclopedia for wrestling. I have to post that clip of him saying it. Oh, Bret Hart, you know what? I did see that video. I did see that video when you posted it, and I was like, oh man, ODC must be in his glory right now. I actually did see that. I think you posted it on Facebook. So he's right. He's right. I can't stump you, and you got a memory like a steel trap when it comes to that stuff. All right, back to Subzero right here. What I end up doing is on the original, on his chest right here, he has a knife. So I mimicked that on my Marauders version. Like I said, I end up using one of their white hoods, and I just cut the mouth guard off, and I had to heat up the hood to get it on there. Now for his mortar launcher, I used the World War II Japanese knee. I believe it's called the knee mortar launcher, and I really like this. It's just deadly and portable, and I think it suits this figure really well. On the original, on his left bicep, he has a grenade. So I mimicked that on mine. I end up giving him 2 grenades right here. Now for his really large gun, as you can see, I did end up using another one of Marauder's weapons, and I gave him the M249 saw. Really large, fantastic gun. It does have the removable ammo holder, and I think it represents. I'm going to turn them sideways just so you can see it. I think it's a really decent representation of the original. Of course, this one's in gray. And more realistic in the black right there. Yeah, again, really simplistic build. No backpack on this gentleman. I used a solid white upper body with the camo legs. Now this is one of those figures that let's see if I can get this in focus. I apologize, guys. I stated this in my previous video. I wanted this to be as much white as possible, so I ended up taking the Arctic Ops figure. I heated these joints up, made them really gummy. Popped the pins and then popped the lower legs on this figure to give them that entire whitewash look. In case you weren't aware, that's just something you guys can do out there if you're building your own Marauders Force, Marauders Task Force figures. So yeah, so this is my version, excuse me, of the 1990 Subzero figure. All right, I have one more to go, guys. Like I said, this was just going to be a quick live stream. he is one of my absolute favorite figures. The classified version actually just released his figure, and I am, hey Holland, welcome back. I'm going to bring him on camera right now. Once you see him, he's going to be really obvious to figure out who he is. Now, this is my version, my updated version of Spirit. Now, a little history about Spirit. Like I said, when I got the original figure way back in the day, I absolutely loved him and played with him to death, broke him, and my mom ended up having to buy me another one just because I enjoyed him so much. Now, regarding Spirit, there were multiple modern figures released. The 25th anniversary in 2008 released their version. There was also a Toys R Us exclusive in 2010. That's a really fantastic looking figure. That was actually part of the Pursuit of Cobra line. I believe he also had an exclusive Big Bad Toy Store figure as part of the Slaughter's Marauder set. And for the final figure, they just released, I shouldn't say just released, can't believe it's been years ago already. The 50th anniversary released their version of the Spirit figure. I went in an entirely different direction. I just wanted to take this figure, and what really kicked it off for me is this head sculpt right here. When Marauders released their World War II figures, this head was sold individually, and it sold out really quick. And I understand why. It's a fantastic Native American head. The only way you can get this head now is if you buy the World War II Radio Man, American Radio Man figure. And this is, that head is included with that figure. I wanted to give him, if you know anything about Spirit, he does always wear a headband, so I gave him the red headband. He's got some green pouches. He has the World War II U.S. Bowie knife right there. I always believed that Spirit should come with not that silly looking, and please don't hate me out there, Joe lovers, that spear gun, that arrow gun that he have. I never understood why they just didn't give the gentleman a compound bow. So I went ahead and did it myself. I ended up giving him one of those Marauders compound bows. And as I spin them around the back here, you'll see that I created my own arrow clip. And I just end up using a couple of their attachments. You can only fit, unfortunately, 3 arrows in that. Big Boy has their JOES on sale. Yeah, Holland, I did get that email. They are running a sale right now, so if any of you guys need any JOES, go ahead and check them out. Now, one obvious inclusion I did on my Spirit figure is this soft goods. I'll turn them back around to the front, and it carries around to the front. What I ended up doing is I cut a piece of red material. It took me a few tries, but I measured it out. And as you can pop these bodies apart, so I laid it across the ball, cut a little hole in the material, popped it on, and then popped the upper body on. And it just tucks underneath that drop-down leg holster perfectly. And it absolutely screams Spirit to me, just having that, that red on the body. Now, I did give him some green knee pads, also some green elbow pads to make him a little bit more urban looking. And for his pistol, I ended up giving him the Desert Eagle. Really fantastic looking gun. I believe they still have these on the website. And like I said, I have so many versions of Spirit. I wanted to come up with my own, and this is what I came up with. So, and that's all I got there, gents. You guys have any questions out there? I know there's a few second delay, but throw them at me, and I'll see if I can answer your questions for you. I'm going to slide all these vintage guys out of the way and try to get all the modern guys in focus here. This background is, terribly busy. All right, let's get him in. Hardball. All right. Hey, ODC, did you see my my previous video? That Dusty figure? as I was making it, I chuckled the entire time because I'm like, you know, if ODC sees this, he'll kind of chuckle. But yeah, that Dusty was for you, pal. All right, let me get him. I don't know if we're going to get all these guys on camera this time. I think I made one too many. Let's see. We'll get Ghost Rider out of the way. And one thing yeah, let's see. I might have to stick him in the background. There we go. We can actually see him. All right. Yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, it's staggered. Maybe slide him over. So yeah, so these are my updated versions of some G.I. Joe figures. If you don't have any updated versions of these figures, these are just some really simple recipes for you. Again, I did end up cheating a couple times. I used some soft goods, you know, on Ghost Rider and of course Spirit. Very, very minor paint job on Big Ben on his Russian hat and a little bit of camouflage on his face. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, all right. If you guys don't have any questions, I guess I'm going to wrap it up. I've been going on for just under an hour here. I really like to thank everybody for stopping by. Of course, ODC, Ayindi, Brent, and Holland. I appreciate you guys swinging by and checking out my second live stream. I think there was one minor hiccup in the beginning of this, and I guess I'll find out when I post the video. It seemed like the feed stopped for a few seconds, so hopefully it didn't screw everything up. But again, guys, I really appreciate you guys stopping by, and please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. I do have another wave of Marauders Task Force figures I'm going to be posting. I actually made a sub-team that I don't own. Actually, I have two sub-teams that I made that I'd like to post a video on in the near future. So again, I really appreciate everybody stopping by. Please don't forget to share your knowledge and help a fellow collector out. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good weekend, everyone.